Game NBA slate. We're winding down for the regular season. These are my favorite types of slates to play, the ones near the end when you just have a lot of chaos. I had the most success last year. I had a couple takedowns at the last couple slates of the season. So I'm excited. Again, it's a lot of games. It's going to be stressful, but I think there's a pretty big edge here. So before we talk about this slate, if you guys are interested in signing for premium content, you can check my Patreon link down below. I offer DFS as well as Prize Picks content. Prize Picks, they're the sponsor of a video up after this. It's a player prop site. You can build 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 player props. Ton of different sports you can mix and match. So if you guys want to give it a try, you can use the code DKDFS. It'll give you a 100% match up to $100. Also linked down below. And recapping the previous slate, because we didn't have a slate today. I was so bored today, I played MLB. Actually off to a decent start. I stacked the Red Sox. Probably was a fish move, but I don't know anything about MLB, but I had to get some action, and I did that. I entered a showdown for the college basketball championship, so yeah. I'm excited we have NBA games tomorrow because today sucked without them. But yeah, recapping, again, the previous NBA slate. I did not cash. I was heavy on Denver. That worked out. But I had low-owned Denny, who once again shot 10% from the field. So my question to you guys is, Denny was 60+% the previous slate. Everyone hopped off because of recency bias because he shot awful, and he shot awful again. So how did those people know that he would shoot 10% from the field again? So no fun there. But all right, let's talk about this 13-game slate. Let's not waste any time. Toronto and Charlotte. Well, you saw a couple guys from Toronto just drop bombs. That would be Siakam and Van Fleet. Again, this is a smash spot. Siakam went for 60. Van Fleet went for like 20 assists, 60 bomb from him too. You got OG Gary Trent and Will Barton all questionable. If they all miss, just more solidified minutes for the guys at the top, and you probably get more run for guys like Boucher, maybe some Achua, maybe one of these guards gets a little bit of run. But yeah, top end guys, if you think the Hornets can keep it competitive, I love the ceiling on Siakam. I love the ceiling on Van Fleet. I like the ceiling on Barnes a lot. You just never know when his games are going to come, right? He's just so up and down. So I was really tilted when that one game, I think it was this game against Miami, when he was way overowned and he went off with slappies that played him at like 30%. So I always have interest in Barnes, but if he's popular, I have no interest in him, right? Jakob Poeltl, I mean, he should be able to feast against this Charlotte Hornets front court. I think he's a pretty good play. Boucher was really bad in the first quarter or the first half, picked up in the second half. He'll probably play high teens, low 20s minutes. And then if all these guys are out, maybe we can start considering like Achua or one of the guards. Moving on to Charlotte. So I don't think we'll see Dennis Smith Jr. for the rest of the year. Mark Williams also, he's played the last couple of games. So I think based on what their quote was a couple weeks ago, they're going to rotate these centers. I think Mark Williams will be the one that doesn't play today. I think it's going to be tomorrow. I think Nick Richards will pick up a start and they'll use Kai Jones as the backup, but we'll keep an eye on the starting line news. Obviously, we'll get more confirmation there. But you're just going to get huge minutes for these guys, right? Right now, they're running extremely tight rotation. Maladon, Svi Mikhailuk, Bouknight, JT Thor, like these guys are playing massive minutes. Mikhailuk back-to-back, or 2 of the last 3 games, 40 bombed. It's a revenge game narrative. He's going to be one of the go-to guys offensively. Maladon is just playing huge minutes. Played 41 minutes last game. He's a guy that can stuff the stash sheet. I like him. Bouknight will come off the bench, probably play high 20s to low 30s minutes. Another good value. If it's Richards and Kai Jones, I think both are solid values. I think I would prefer Richards to Jones, but if they split the center position, they're both reasonable. You're going to get a lot of run for JT Thor. He's just most likely not going to do a ton with those minutes. McGowan's has not been great, but he played 30 minutes last game. I think he's okay. That's probably it. You saw like 4 minutes of Simmons, a few minutes from Snead, but not enough for me to get to those guys. Cleveland, Orlando. So Cleveland basically fully healthy outside of Okoro. Last time we saw Dean Wade start. If Dean Wade starts again, he's playable. Not really the best point per minute guy, but should see a chunk of minutes. Mitchell, Mobley, Garland, Allen, all in play in a good matchup. I don't think any of those guys are priorities, but they're all look relatively similar. LeVert, he'll probably play, I don't know, around 30 minutes. He's fine. I don't think I'll mess like Shetty or Rubio. I think we'll find better value on the slate. On the Orlando Magic side, so they're fully healthy. Awful matchup here. The one thing I'll be getting to any of these guys, I think I'll probably cross off. If you want to go to Banchero, who's been playing better of late, fine. If you want to get to one of these other guys in just a large field tournament and hope they have a pop-off game, sure. Not for me, though. Milwaukee, Washington. So Middleton's out. Grayson Allen's out. Javon Carter, questionable. Milwaukee basically locked up the 1 seed, so I'm a little bit worried about minutes for the main guys, especially the game that could blow out. But if you think a game's this competitive and Giannis plays 35 minutes against the Wizards, then I really do like Giannis. You could say the same thing about Drew Holiday. If Javon Carter's out too, then maybe you can start considering guys like Crowder, Ingles. Connaughton's been out of the rotation, but I'm pretty sure he would be back in the rotation if both Allen and Carter are out. Again, though, I think we'll probably find better value. For Washington, they're pretty shorthanded. No Porzingis, Beal, Kuzma, or Morris. Denny Avdija, again, the faders just know he's going to shoot 10% from the field. But with Porzingis in, he was just dropping like 50 bombs. So I still have interest in Denny. One of these games he's not going to shoot awful. Corey Kispert started the game off really hot. Again, he's scoring independent. If he makes the shots, he can get there. If not, he'll hurt you. Gaffer didn't have the best game in 28 minutes, but his ceiling goes up when there's no Porzingis. DeLon Wright at 5'5", probably starts and plays 30-ish minutes. I think he's a decent option in the mid-range. Johnny Davis started. Again, he is awful. He is horrific, but he's going to play a lot of minutes, so he's firmly in play for value. Goodwin did get extended a bit last one because of the blowout. Was only going to play like 20-ish minutes if the game stayed competitive, so I think he's a reasonable value play. He'll be productive when he's in the court. Kendrick Nunn, well, also whatever minutes he plays will be productive, but not seeing a ton of run right now. Miami and Detroit, so Bam is expected to play. Kyle Lowry, I think he'll play too, so not a ton to keep an eye on here for Miami. I think Jimmy, Bam, Hero, all reasonable plays. I think factoring in salary, Bam and Hero would be my favorite options. Hero was awful as chalk last slate, but you got to have short-term memory. He's still 6.7K going up against the Pistons. Probably won't get to the value options, but if there's no Lowry, then a little bit more run for guys like Strus, Vincent, Caleb Martin maybe. On the Detroit side, so awful matchup here. Ivy Hayes, they should play a good chunk of minutes, but I'm probably not going to go to either. Wiseman, Duran, they're going to split the center position. Livers feels priced right. There's just nothing really on the Pistons I like. Morier's 4-4. His minutes have been a little bit up and down. If you get the game where he plays, high 20s minutes like we have seen in 2 of the last 3 games, I could see him having a decent game. Minnesota and Brooklyn. So Minnesota, you got Karl-Anthony Towns questionable. Again, though, I think he'll play. He's played the last few games. He got in foul trouble last game. Not a bad spot here. I think Anthony Edwards and Cat would be the main guys would look to. Factory and Price, I think I do prefer Ant to Cat. Ant's been a little bit up and down, but the ceiling is 50+. We saw that last game. Karl-Anthony Towns been kind of quiet, but if he plays mid-30s minutes at sub-8K price point, I think that looks decent. I'll probably pass in Gobert unless Karl-Anthony Towns sits, and I don't think I'm going to get to any of the secondary plays either. For Brooklyn, well, for the 100th straight time, I like the Brooklyn Nets because they're playing the main guys a ton of minutes. Bridges should play high 30s minutes. He's, their go-to guy offensively. Dinwiddie, the minutes have been down a little bit on him, but he's their only true ball handler. Double-digit assists in the last 3 games. Claxton probably plays around 30 minutes. I think he's fine. Cam Johnson should see 30-plus minutes. O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith, they're going to split the power forward position. Atlanta and Chicago. So no DeAndre Hunter once again. Trae Young also questionable. If Trae Young misses, that's going to open up a ton here for the Hawks. Would really like DeJounte Murray. Bogdanovich would most likely start. Those two would stand out. You got Sadiq Bey starting for Hunter last game. He didn't have the best game as massive chalk, but then got overtime for the slappies. But yeah, with Hunter out, it's Bey and Bogdanovich that benefit, and Trae Young's out. I would think they start Bogdanovich. And then Murray would be like a priority for me. The centers wouldn't really change. Collins would look a little bit better, then maybe a little more run for a guy like AJ Griffin. If Trae Young's in, I think Trae and Murray both make for good tournament plays. 8.6K for Trae does feel a little bit too cheap. He shot 8 of 24 last game, still on for a 50 bomb. Again, Capella, the minutes fluctuate on him, but when you do see the game where he pushes for 30-ish minutes, he gets smash. Collins is up and down. He's a fine tournament play. Again, Bey, I think, is reasonable. Probably will go a bit over owned, played 33 minutes in regulation, though. Let's move on to Chicago. So, Chicago, same thing as I always say. DeRozan, Levine, Vooch all look pretty good here in a good matchup, but the tough part is picking between these guys. I love the matchup. I think if this game is competitive, I would not be surprised if one of these main guys for Chicago makes the winning lineup. It's just tough to pick between them. Kobe White's been playing huge minutes. The price point is a little bit tough for me to get to, but just wanted to mention he's playing like high 20s to low 30s minutes a game, and he's been really, really consistent. Pat Bev, Patrick Williams, Io, those guys would all benefit a little bit if Caruso's out, but I think Caruso will play. So, yeah, not much here from the secondary guys for Chicago. Portland and Memphis. So Portland's extremely shorthanded, and they could be even more shorthanded if guys like Watford, Knox, Reddish, and Butler all miss. Archie Diacono got released. They would only have 7 active guys. That would be, if that is the case, it would be Sharp 1, Eubanks 2, Mays 3, Walker 4, Thibault 5, Harrison 6, Jonathan Williams 7. There's just no way, right? There's no way that's a real person. We talked about that on Twitter, right? There's no way. There's no way that is a real human being, right? It's a fake person. Jonathan Williams. Not Jonathan. Jonathan Williams. Shane Sharp, he's going to play big minutes either way. If the game's is competitive versus the game blows out, it doesn't really matter. He's playing like mid-30s minutes every single game. He's their go-to guy offensively right now, so I like the upside on him. Watford, the minutes have not been great in the last couple games he's played, so I'll stay away there. Eubanks, if the game stays competitive, I expect high 20s minutes from him, but he is a guy that won't play if the game blows out. Skylar May's been starting at the point guard position, 30 minutes back-to-back games. I think he's a reasonable option. Jabbar Walker, he'll play like the backup 4/5. There's no John Butler. He might play a little bit more. He's not a bad point per minute guy, so he intrigues me at 4/5. Thibel's 4/4. We know he's obviously not going to do a ton offensively, but he should get a good chunk of minutes. Shaq Harrison will come off the bench. He'll probably play, around 20 minutes. He's fine. He'll look a little bit better if a lot of these guys sit. And then Jonathan Williams only played 13 minutes. Probably wouldn't get to him unless all these questionable players are out. For Memphis, well, there's massive blowout risk here. Dylan Brooks is questionable. Doesn't really do a ton, though. If Brooks is out, more minutes for guys like Kennard, Roddy, maybe Conchar, but it's really hard for me to get to anyone in Memphis. Just I have no confidence the game stays competitive. If you do think it stays competitive, you can definitely look to a sub-10K Ja or Bane or Triple J, but I have a really hard time getting to this team right now. Moving on to Sacramento, New Orleans. Well, finally, Sacramento is playing a team that the game should stay competitive. They've had like multiple blowouts, even though, again, they did go to overtime. Did they lose to the Spurs? Yeah, they lost to the Spurs, which is wild. I like the ceiling on Sabonis. I like the ceiling on Fox. 10-1 for Sabonis, 7-7 for Fox. I think factoring in price, I do prefer Fox, but that doesn't mean Sabonis is out of place. He should be able to feast when he's on the court. I'll probably pass in the wings. Last game, Monk got ruled out after lock, so if you played Malik Monk, I would be so incredibly tilted. If Monk misses again, then Terrence Davis could be a viable punt play at 3.2K, but I would only play him if Monk is out. For New Orleans, well, I like Brandon Ingram again. In a competitive game, I expect around 40 minutes. He's doing everything. He's doing the playmaking as well, like averaging a ton of assists recently. Potential assists are way up. So I like Ingram a good amount. CJ's been really quiet. He's like your low-owned, contrarian pivot in tournaments. 20, 29, and 28 fantasy points the last 3 games. JV, minutes up and down. He did play 28 minutes last game, and with the 28 minutes, he went for a 40 bomb. So if you get the game where he plays 30-plus minutes, he could break the slate. Murphy's going to play a ton, but feels priced right. I'll probably pass in Herb Jones. I don't think getting to guys like Jay Rich and Najee Marshall will be necessary in the slate. I think we'll just have better value. And then if you think that JV gets limited, you can definitely look to Nance, who would benefit if they limit JV's minutes. Denver and Houston. Well, Denver kind of has the 1 seed locked up, so I don't know if Jokic will play here. He's missed the last couple of games. They're also going up against Houston, so if Nikola Jokic doesn't play, then I really like Denver once again. Murray, Gordon, MPJ all benefit big time. Bruce Brown will play a little bit more. Last game, they started Jeff Green at the 5. They could go Jordan. They could go Najee. They have a lot of different options. Like, whoever starts at the 5 would be a fine value if there's no Jokic. But, I would really like Murray, would really like MPJ, would really like Gordon. Bruce Brown would be fine. KCP's role wouldn't really change. They've been playing Peyton Watson last couple of games. He's actually not a bad point per minute guy. So if that continues, maybe you could utilize him as a punt play. If Jokic plays and there's no limitations, then obviously I like Jokic against the Houston Rockets and then downgrade the rest of the guys. For Houston, can we talk about this? Şengün played like 22 first-half minutes last game, finished with 38 minutes. If they're going to play him close to 40 minutes, and sign me up for a sub-7K Şengün. If Jokic is out, would like him way more because then there's less foul risk. KPJ, Green, they continue to play huge minutes. I always like this Houston team for tournaments. These guys are low-owned every single night. Jabari Smith is 6.3K. He'll play a ton. He ranks behind those other guys I mentioned. Martin, he'll probably play, around 30 minutes. He's fine. My boy Tari Eason, good point per minute guy. Probably plays low 20s minutes. He would benefit, though, if the game blows out. Boston and Philly, well, it comes down to the status of Jaylen Brown for me. If Brown is in, not a ton I'm probably going to get to. If Brown is out, then obviously the upside goes up on Tatum. I will say, the last couple times Jaylen Brown's been out, Tatum's been a massive bust, but you do have to have short-term memory, stuff like that. White, Brogdon, Smart would all look better if there's no Brown. Rob Williams is out. Horford to start the 5. Probably a little more run for Grant Williams. You might see some dusty Blake Griffin just to throw him on Embiid for some minutes. But, the big news here is Brown. If Brown is in, probably not going to get too much. If Brown's out, then I'm going to start considering the Boston Celtics. For Philadelphia, you got Embiid and Harden, 11-1, 9-5. Sorry about that. Starting to get to allergy season here. So Embiid, Harden, I think are fine contrarian spend-ups. In competitive game, you should see mid to high 30s minutes from both. I'm not going to get to anyone else, so a lot of these guys are overpriced, so it's just those two. Lakers and Jazz, so the Lakers need to continue to win games. I fully expect all these guys to play. LeBron's questionable, Russell's probable, AD's probable. I think all 3 do play. I like the ceiling on AD. I like the ceiling on LeBron. If the game can stay competitive, they should be able to feast against this undermanned Utah team. I'm not going to mess with any of the Lakers' value, though. For the Jazz, well, no Kessler, no Clarkson. For some reason, Sexton's questionable. Like, he's been out for like 2 months. There's no reason to play Colin Sexton last couple games of the season, really. So I'd be pretty surprised if he does play. If Lauri Markkanen and Sexton are both out, then we can start considering some of the Jazz. It'll be interesting to see who they start at the 5. Do they go small and start Olynyk at the 5, or do they, throw one of these bigs like a Luka Samanic, a Udoka Azubuike, maybe a Damian Jones in the starting lineup? So I'm curious who they start at the 5. If it's one of those value plays, they're obviously viable. If it's Olynyk that starts at the 5, then he looks really good. He's played 31, 33 minutes over the last couple games. If there's no Markkanen, again, THT, Olynyk get a benefit. They would run the show offensively. And there's more minutes for guys like Dunn, Abachi, Fontecchio, JTA. Again, these big, Samanic, Azubuike, Damian Jones. We'll see who ends up starting there for Walker Kessler. If Lauri Markkanen and Sexton are both in, then I don't know if we'll get to anyone on Utah. Oklahoma City, Golden State. So for the Thunder, I like the ceiling on 10K SGA in an up-tempo game. Giddey, Jalen Williams, Dort, all reasonable plays, no priorities there. I'm not going to go to Joe. I'm not going to mess with the bigs. So pretty easy team to talk about. For Golden State, they're basically fully healthy too. No Andrew Wiggins, but he's close to returning. So with that being said, I like the ceiling on the guards, Steph, Clay, and Poole, but they're all more tournament plays. Draymond, probably your safest bet, should play low to mid-30s minutes. We'll see about the starting lineup. If they start Kuminga, then I like him. If they go to Looney, then he looks good. So whichever one of these bigs start, I think I would prefer them over the other. You saw the massive game from DiVincenzo kind of out of nowhere. He's been awful. If you want to take a dart on him at 4.1, fine. Last game, though, I think a bit of an outlier for 13 rebounds. And finally, San Antonio and Phoenix. Well, we have no idea who's playing for the Spurs. Last game, it was these 3 that sat out, but it could be a different 3, so it's really hard to say. You're going to see some guys set for San Antonio. If it's the same guys that sit again, then yes. I mentioned I like Collins and Trey Jones for tournaments. Well, you saw just a massive game from Trey Jones at no ownership. But again, those 2 would run the show offensively. More minutes for guys like Branham, Graham, Bates, Diop. But again, they still ran a pretty deep rotation. Also, Champagne, or however you pronounce his name, just went off. I don't think I'll be chasing that. Yeah, Blake Wesley would benefit in the blowout. He's just awful too. So we'll see who's available for the Spurs. But you're most likely going to see a lot of guys sit. And then finally, the Suns. I mean, there's massive blowout risk here. If you want to target the main guys in tournaments, fine. Booker, Durant, Paul, Ayton. I probably won't be doing that. I think that they have too many guys off the bench, too, for me to even consider some of the bench guys. Like, I don't even think Campaign would play in a blowout. So, yeah, I'll probably just mainly have interest in the main guys, but just for tournament dart throws. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. Again, I'll have a prize picks video up after this. Make sure to check that out. Also, I'll be tweeting out some of my own tacos for prize picks. Taco Tuesday tomorrow. Went 6-0 last week. The prize picks tacos went 1-2. I went 6-0. So hopefully we continue that taco hot streak. And yeah, hope you guys had a great day. It'll be great to have the NBA back in our lives after no games today. And we'll see you all in the next video.